Hello and welcome, uh, fam squad.
Fam squad.
Fam squad.
How do we going?
How do we be doing the
How do we
do?
be doing to do today? I don't think we've
Are
played
we
a
ready to
single Marvel
play
game on
some?
the stream.
Are we ready to play some Ultimate Spoderman?
Ready if you are, man.
Man.
Hit new game when you're ready.
Hit. Hit.
Why do you keep scrolling through them like that? You ready to start?
What are you talking about? I'm hitting it. I'm hitting it. I don't know what's wrong. My mouse must be going crazy.
You're hitting it now. You just hit it. Alright.
I'm still hitting it. I mean,
Okay.
I'm always hitting it. Like,
Okay.
specifically, I'm hitting it right now.
Alright, well. The cutscene.
So how have you been, Mr. Australia man?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Lockdown and quarantine's been boring as fucking shit.
Yeah,
I've been bored out of my
unfortunately,
mind.
guys in the chat, Xavier has been having a bit of a rough week. Some personal stuff came up with that I will not mention because it's personal.
None of your business.
But he just was not in the mood to be streaming today.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be the two of us.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
the cool kids.
The cool kids.
Yeah,
The people who you come to these streams to see. Not Xavier Mendoza.
Like Ben Shapiro and the cool kids philosopher.
Did he actually say that? Is that what he calls himself?
That was a quote from the New York Times, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. The New York Times called Ben Shapiro the cool
Shabira.
kids philosopher.
That's
Which is an
that's
insult
amazing.
to philosophers everywhere. But let's not mention that right now.
Let's not mix politics with Spider-Man.
Spider-Gate. Spidey-Gate.
Yeah, Spidey-Gate. This suit is really frustrating to get in the game because the only way to get it is by beating everything, and there's no New Game Plus, so by the time you get this suit, there's just nothing for you to do.
I'm just not gonna get that. Like,
Fair enough, dude. I
this
wouldn't
playthrough
either.
That I am playing right now.
Yeah.
That's just not worth my time.
I really wish the fucking costume system worked differently. But it was 2005, and that shit was really experimental.
Mm-hmm.
Dodo. Do. I love the music.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit techno-y for me, but
I am an EDM god. I love. I'm not an EDM god. I just love EDM.
so I have a very important question for you, Will I am.
What's up, man?
The last time
Was that?
that
You cut out.
you
Oh, when was the last time that I? Yep.
I lost my train of thought. LP tax.
It's a
Oh
cutscene.
yeah,
What
when
do
was
you
the
mean?
last time you logged on Twitter?
The last time I logged on Twitter. The last time I tweeted.
When was
And-
the last time you tweeted?
I don't know. You can go check. If I were to check for you, then the last time I logged on Twitter would be like now. Iron Ninja's in the chat.
Hey, look, I have this wonderful Kylo Ren mask. Kylo Ren T-mug.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you were into Ben Swallow. I didn't know he was your type of guy.
I mean, who wouldn't be with those maternity pants, man? There's nothing hotter on this world than maternity pants.
There's nothing hotter than simping for a guy who fucked Scarlett Johansson and then had a divorce in a very, very, very ugly way. Marriage Story was a good movie. You guys should check it out.
Hey, don't forget the time he had oral sex with Marion Cotillard while they were both singing, and then they had a very ugly breakup.
What a Chad.
Yeah.
I love how MJ's bag changes color between shots. She was wearing a blue bag, and then when the bag opened, it became pink.
Who's MJ?
That you know, the one with the red hair. Obviously. David, you shouldn't be playing this game if you don't know anything about Spider-Man. How fucking... That's an insult to me.
I'm sorry, it's just that, like... Spider-Man is... I'm sorry, I've never really got Spider-Man.
Okay.
And this is, of course, heresy because we're playing Spider-Man game right now. But it's like... I could never really get into it. There's something we learned there's... It doesn't speak to me, I guess you could say. No me habla, no me habla.
That's fair, that's fair.
I've never connected with it. I've never really liked a Spider-Man movie more than it just being like, that was fine, you know?
What about Into the Spider-Verse? You
I was
like
always
that?
more of an X-Men kid.
Didn't you like Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes, Into the Spider-Verse was the one exception, but
okay.
When I was saying Spider-Man, I was thinking more like
the live
Parker
action
Spider-Man,
movies.
you know what I mean?
That's
like
fair.
The stuff that everybody likes. I've never really connected with Peter Parker as a character. He's just not really been that interesting to me.
Okay.
And since Spider-Man is such a character-driven premise, it's never really been my thing.
I see. Is there a reason as to why? Like, is it just the way his character was written? Is it just, like, the premise of, like...
He doesn't annoy me, I don't really care.
Okay.
You know? It sounds kind of cold to say it that way, but, like, I've just never really connected with it.
That guy's my fucking childhood character, and I'm gonna cancel you on Twitter for saying that, you son of a bitch.
Oh, yes, cancel me, daddy.
Don't say that!
I texted that to Xavier, and he didn't react, so I was waiting for somebody to be weirded out by that.
You can count on me.
Xavier's just used to me being weird, so, like, it doesn't surprise him anymore. So I need to weird out somebody else now.
And I'm the next target, naturally.
Yes, of course.
You hear that, kids in the stream?
From a ginger with no soul to an Australian with no soul, but, you know...
I have a soul, I beg to differ. It's a very black and dark and cold one, but I have one.
How do you know?
You know what? Sometimes you just do. Sometimes you just do. Okay? Just call it intuition.
Let's see, anybody in chat saying hi?
Well, shouldn't I be looking at the thing? You're playing a game. Iron Ninja says Lucas playing Spider-Man. Moritaka Ishida says, David, how are you a Raimi fan and don't know who Mary Jane is?
Well, I know what Mary Jane is. I just don't know who she is. For the children in the audience, that was a marijuana reference.
For the children, I had to clarify. That was, I'm talking about marijuana, actually.
And I spell it Marowana.
The only way to spell it, dude. Dude, I'm noticing you're really fucking good at this game. Like, you're like running through these motherfuckers.
Like,
have you played this game before?
It's really easy, you know?
Have you played this game before? Because, like, I don't strike you as somebody who...
I mean, I have, but very briefly.
Okay.
So, like, Xavier introduced me to this game around the same time that he was doing his Spider-Man retrospective, and I played a little bit of it around that time. And I've had a copy of the game ever since. But I didn't really... I played, like, the first hour, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I just gave up.
Okay.
I was just like, I'm not really into playing older games that much, unless they're Star Trek games or Star Wars games. And I just wasn't really willing to deal with it.
That's fine.
But I did play it. And then freshman year of college, there was this kid across the hall who was like, surprisingly, he was a big Xavier fan. and he had the game too, and I hung out with him when he played it a little bit, and that was about it.
Okay, I see. You said something about playing older games like Star Wars. You excited for the new remake for? What was it called again? That's right.
I will limit my thoughts on this because there may or may not be a video that I may or may not be writing a script for about the same topic. But I think I'm more excited for if Knights of the Old Republic remake is a success, then I want to see a remake of Knights of the Old Republic 2. Because Knights of the Old Republic 2 is a much better game. It refines the gameplay a lot, but it also has a much more interesting story.
Yeah.
But it's also an unfinished game because Obsidian, the developer, after the first game was like a huge success, they were given 15 months to finish the original.
Holy shit.
Just 15 months. And they had to cut a bunch of content, and they were also not able to fix a bunch of bugs with it, so it's a very buggy and incomplete experience. So, like, you'll play the game, and the first few levels and sections are really complete, and they're really well developed, and there's a lot of fun little side quests and interesting details. But then, as you play the game longer and longer, the subsequent sections feel emptier and emptier, and the ending is really underwhelming, and it doesn't address a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
To the point where there is a mod to the game called the I forget what it's called. It's a mod that it restores a bunch of. That's what it's called. It's like the restored content mod that restores a bunch of stuff that was cut from the game. And even with that, it still feels somewhat incomplete. But it's such a good story, and it's so interesting and thoughtful, and very, very. It has some very interesting commentary on the nature of the Star Wars franchise.
Okay.
That I would really love to see it. And Knights of the Old Republic 1, by comparison, it's a much more complete game, but it's also a much less interesting one. The moral choices are very, very binary.
Okay.
For example, do you want to be a dark side or a light side? Do you want to be an asshole to somebody, or do you want to be a decent person? Those are your complex choices of the day.
Are you trying to clear the fucking lake just by like swinging off of it?
Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. I was just thinking about Star Wars and like, I was just thinking about Star Wars, and you distracted me with this interesting conversation, and then I'm just don't know what to do with my life now.
On the boat, there you go.
Ooh, boat.
I mean, that's like one way to clear it. I've seen speedrunners try to do what you were doing before, where they use like this thing. Like, I don't know. They do like I guess like kind of a hack, not a hack. But like, there's a very specific method of swinging that like gains you height and speed, like ridiculous amounts, and they're able to clear that whole thing with like web zip.
Speedrunning is when you like want to play a game really fast to like see if you can, right?
Yeah, some people record them and like
fun.
put them on websites and shit to like world records or whatever. It's really competitive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a very competitive person, and I'm not a very competitive video game player, so.
It's funny, I'm talking about the speedrunning thing, and you're doing it like as you're swinging between the buildings.
That's a really strange coincidence. Ooh, cutscene! Now I can look at the chat.
You'd have to alt tab. I'll do it for you, man. Back in the days when Spider-Man didn't have...
says, I'm excited for the KOTOR remake because the only way I can play KOTOR is on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, there was somebody ported KOTOR and KOTOR 2 to mobile, and apparently that's surprisingly good, even though I've never played it on mobile.
Mortaki Ishida says, back in the days when Spider-Man games didn't have swim mechanics. Spider-Man games is weird to not have them, but at the same time, who gives a shit? Because like, it's Spider-Man. He wouldn't be swimming anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's called Spider-Man, not Aquaman.
Ah, I get it, because
Speaking of which, are
Aquaman
you
swims.
excited for Aquaman 2?
No, I didn't see the first one.
Okay.
I know people are gonna
It's
be real
weird
mad at
because
me.
it was filmed in Australia.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and you see all movies that are filmed in Australia, right?
I haven't seen Mad Max, so I mean, yeah. I haven't
You
seen Mad
haven't
Max
seen
nor
Mad
Aquaman.
Max?
No.
Tell me you've at least seen Mad Max Fury Road.
Like, I haven't seen any of them. I was thinking
What
of
the fuck
Fury
is
Road when I
wrong
said
with you?
that. I was
Like,
thinking Fury Road when I said Mad Max, but like I just mean all of them. I haven't seen any.
like if you haven't seen the original Mad Max, that's fine. If you haven't seen Beyond Thunderdome, that's fine. No, not not Beyond Thunderdome. Road Warrior, that's fine.
Okay.
But if you haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road, I don't know how we can even be friends. Like, that is probably one of the best movies of the 21st century. Like,
I see.
it's honestly breathtaking as a movie. It's so incredibly, oh look, Wolverine. It's so
Yeah.
incredibly like visually interesting. The performances are great. It's a masterclass in visual storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's very little dialogue, but you know exactly what's going on, and it you see a character arc in Mad Max, a character who does not speak a lot.
Oh
But
yeah, I
you
heard
have
that.
this really affecting character arc in it without resorting to a lot of dumb dialogue.
Okay.
And the visuals are amazing. The action is incredible. It's probably one of the best action movies of all time. And the naming conventions in those games are amazing. There's so the main villain of the first game, the main villain of Mad Max Fury Road is called Immortan Joe.
Immortan Joe.
Yeah, and there's like characters like Auntie Entity. There's there's characters like what's the LP Tax. What's the name of the guy from the guy with the okay, the guy with the giant electric flame spitting electric guitar is called the Doophorian.
Huh.
It's great. It's great. It's so good.
It sounds super cheesy. I'm not gonna lie.
It's super cheesy, but it's also really interesting. It has a lot to say about themes of property and feminism and sort of civilization and stuff like that. It's good. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I mean, like, a lot of people will say like, "Oh, the movie-going experience is so great, blah blah blah. You know, we need to go and see movies in theaters, right?"
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is low to hooey. Most movies are fine seeing them, you know, on your TV or on your laptop or whatever. But honestly, seeing Mad Max in theaters was probably one of the best movie-going experiences I've ever seen.
Okay. I mean,
Like,
I kind of agree with the sentimentality that it's better to see a movie in cinemas. It just feels different. It feels a lot better. It feels like it's made for it.
Well, I absolutely love seeing movies in theaters. I think that's something that's worthwhile. I have a lot of fun doing it, but there's some movies where if you watch it at home, the experience isn't that different.
Okay.
But there are some movies that really demand seeing on a screen in a theater, and Mad Max is one of them. Mad Max Fury Road.
That's fair. Is the chat saying anything?
Combat Tour. Ooh, I gotta punch all these people. I love punching people.
That's
Don't
what
take
this
that
game
out of
is. This game is a beat 'em up. Is the chat saying anything?
Aren't you supposed to check that?
I don't know.
Person who's not playing? Check the chat.
Well, I figured it'd be more impressive if you checked the chat. like mid
Oh
mid
yeah,
doing
somebody mentioned in the chat the Destroy All Humans 2 remake. You know how I learned that there was a Destroy All Humans 2 remake?
that. How?
I
Did
get a
Xavier tell you?
text from Xavier at 1 in the morning saying, "It's here."
So fucking cryptic.
And then he sent me a link to the Destroy All Humans trailer.
God damn, dude.
Yeah.
He told me, we were in a call and he told me there was like a leaked screenshot and he didn't know if it was real or not, but he figured it was because like the weapon that they used was like exclusively from the sequel. The trailer hadn't been out by that point.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
I heard like little things on Twitter at that point, but I just didn't really pay attention because I don't care.
Okay.
Because I have better things to do with my life than like rumors about new video games. Like,
Or
if a
movies.
video game's coming out, like I will know about it and I will pay attention. But after that, who really cares?
Yeah. I can agree with that sentimentality. That sentiment. With that mentality.
Sentiment. Do you consider yourself a sentimental person?
Yeah, I would. I'm a very nostalgic person. I'm a very sentimental person. Well, I mean, to what extent? To what extent do you mean sentimental?
Whatever extent you mean.
Okay, because like I do have a lot of things that like are very sentimental to me. In that regard, I am a very sentimental person. Things and people, not just like materialistic shit, but like just places as well. A lot of it is tied down to nostalgia. But yeah, I would consider myself a sentimental person.
Okay, cool. Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Great success.
I took a shit in front of Trump Tower. Remember when he did that?
Yeah.
Remember when Jordan Peele did this?
Did what?
It's a meme from us. Everybody on Twitter was they would tweet, they would go, remember when Jordan Peele did this, and they would show a clip from us where
Nope.
okay, well let me finish explaining the fucking thing, you little bitch. People would go, remember
I
when
recognize that you're explaining the thing, but I was making a reference to the next Jordan Peele movie, which is called Nope.
is it? No fucking
Yeah,
way.
that's the title of the next Jordan Peele movie.
I feel like you're fucking with
It's
me.
being filmed right now.
I can't tell. I feel like you're fucking with me.
He tweeted a poster like a month ago. It's called Nope.
People in chat, can you confirm? I feel like he's fucking with me.
Did you watch the hit show, The Owl House? No, I did not.
That is not a hit show.
I
At least I don't
do
think
not
so.
watch Disney cartoons about gay people. Nor do I watch Disney cartoons about straight people. I just don't watch Disney.
I don't watch Disney. Yeah. My friends have been trying to get me into it, like my IRL friends, but like if the art style and like the theme and just everything, and the subject matter, I guess I don't know what the subject matter is, but just like everything surrounding it from like a face value seems very like childlike and kiddish, and it doesn't seem like my cup of tea.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not.
It's just it doesn't.
At this point in my life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't appeal to me.
I mean, I'm not really also a big Disney fan, so.
Yeah. The last Disney movie I think I watched was Wreck-It Ralph. And I watched that shit recently, like
The
a
last
few months
Disney
ago.
movie that I watched was Big Hero 6.
Oh, that was a good one. I remember seeing that shit
I
like...
didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
Oh, that sucks. I love it. I remember, I didn't see it in cinemas, but one day at school, we were meant to have sports, but, like, instead that was kind of canceled because of, it was raining that day.
Remember if Big Hero 6 or Moana came out, which one came out second? Because I've also seen Moana.
I think Moana came out second.
Okay, so that's the most recent one that I've seen.
Okay. But I remember seeing Big Hero
I
6
didn't
in
really care for
school
that much either.
because it was raining when we were meant to have sports, and so we kind of just sat in like a hole, and they put it on. I really enjoyed it. I think everything about it was cool. I like the animations. I like the soundtrack. I like the plot. I thought it was clever. I like the little twist they had.
I'm not really a big fan of sibling dies, and then we have to deal with that like children's movie stories.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little bit tired of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I kind of like. I mean, at this point, the animation in anything Disney produces is good, but I like the animation in that. The little world they created was cool. What was it, San Francisco or whatever?
Yeah, right. They pulled a fucking GTA San Andreas where they just like they mix
Sand Andreas.
Sand Andreas. Yeah, they mix a bunch of like geographical locations from America and turn them into like one area, I guess. Like Las Vegas, fucking San Francisco, and I don't know if Los Santos was actually. Is that a real location? Is that a real lake?
Los Santos is not a real place.
Okay.
It's probably Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, but like they just get a bunch of like real life American geographical locations, and they like rename them, remix them, and they turn them into like one.
I thought. I mean, I haven't played it, but I usually thought that like Los Santos was really inspired by Los Angeles. There's not a lot of San Francisco in that.
I mean, San Fierro is meant to be San Francisco. Well, that game's version
Okay,
anyway.
there you go.
It's an area that you unlock later on. There's
Okay.
there's like a remix of I say remix, but like just like a renaming of Las Vegas. I forgot what that's called in game, but that's there too.
A remake.
Yeah. I feel like remix is more appropriate for whatever reason. It gives off the right connotation.
Okay, fair enough. But so what I was saying about Knights of the Old Republic earlier is that there's a lack of meaningful choices in that game as well, because you can basically up until the very very end of the game.
Yep.
You can choose to still be good or evil, even irrespective of every other decision that you've made in the entire game up to that point.
Sounds like Web of Shadows, man. Because that game,
Yeah.
the ending of that boils down to two choices. Do you save Black Cat at the end, and do you save Eddie Brock at the end? If you go yes or no to any of those.
It's almost as if that the people who developed Knights of the Old Republic also developed Mass Effect 3.
Don't say that, dude. EA is to blame for those franchises shitting themselves. This is a franchise called Red Alert. It's an RTS franchise that I love, and the first two games were great. They were so fucking unique.
Dark Knight Fan 75, thank you for joining us.
They were like critically acclaimed RTS games. They were great. And then EA, the publisher for those games, shut down the company and took over the third installment for that game. And they like ran into the ground. They did the same thing for Dead Space.
Listen.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3 is at least an improvement from Knights of the Old Republic, because with the Knights of the Old Republic there's only 2 endings.
Okay.
And in Mass Effect 3 there's 3.
But like they're 3 of the same endings. You see the same thing with like a reskin of a light.
There is something fun about Knights of the Old Republic, because if you choose to be dark side in that game, it's sort of it's like the stupid person's idea of what being a dark side means. It just means that you're constantly mean to everybody. You're just cruel, but like meaninglessly cruel. So you just constantly insult people, and you're racist to aliens, and then you just do a
Oh,
bunch of
epic.
stupid shit like that. It's kind of hilarious. It's fun from that point.
You become Renegade Spider-Man, and
Yes, you become edgy 90s Spider-Man.
I was thinking more like Spider-Man 3 Spider-Man from like the game.
You become Yeah, that's a good comparison. You just become needlessly edgy for no reason, and you're just like, what's going on here? Why are you doing this? There's no, like, most people who are evil, they have a reason for doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that is not reflected at all in Knights of the Old Republic. You're just evil because you're evil. And
Yeah.
and then every other option is just be good. And there's a lot more moral complexity in the sequel.
Okay.
And it goes a lot more depth into, okay, why would somebody choose the dark side? What do they want? What's their motivation? Even if they ultimately condemn that path for being bad.
Yeah. Like why do they turn? Like what do they see in that
yeah,
they wouldn't otherwise get in the other
also,
one?
I mean, there is a cool twist about halfway or 2/3 of the way through the game, which is nice, and I do like it. But that twist in and of itself doesn't save the game. I do like Knights of the Old Republic. It's just a bit basic and underdeveloped. Hey, look, Trask Industries.
Yeah.
It's
that's not him though.
It's Peter Dinklage.
But no, that's not him. That's just the guy piloting the Rhino suit. Well, we do see Trask in this game.
Right there.
That's him.
That guy was voiced by Peter Dinklage.
That's canon.
I don't know if that's true. I'm just making it up.
No,
it has to be true.
You do see Trask in this game though.
You do?
Yeah.
Is he voiced by Peter Dinklage?
Yes.
Peter Dinklage.
I love Ramin Djawadi, dude. Can we just talk about how good Ramin Djawadi's like score for anything is? He did the score for the Slender Man movie. It's a fact that like skips everybody's head, but it's true.
My favorite score that he's done is the Pacific Rim score.
I've heard that. It's amazing. I love the shit he did for Iron Man. I feel like his score for Iron Man was what brought that movie to life. Without that score, that movie would just be dull and drab. That score is so fucking hype. Oh, dude, I love his shit. He's there's a new movie that is, I forget the name of it, but I remember sending it in like a group DM, and you reacted to it, David. We kind of had like a little conversation based on that. Yeah, he's doing the track for that, and there's Hugh Jackman starring in it, and it looks really cool. I'm excited for that one.
You know what that means?
That guy's super talented.
It stars an Aussie actor, so you have to see it.
It's a contractual obligation to be an Australian.
Yes. Otherwise, they'll revoke your Australian
my citizenship.
Yeah.
Chat saying anything?
Moritaka Ishida says every short character ever has been voiced by and played by Peter Dinklage. That's right.
That's a fact. Dude, the fucking the Oompa Loompas in Willy Wonka.
They were all played
Peter
by
Dinklage. He cloned himself, and he's like, I'm gonna play this role to the best of my abilities, and he did. And as a result, that is a very iconic role.
Have you seen the Tim Burton Willy Wonka movie?
Is that the one with Johnny Depp?
Yes.
I've seen clips of it like when they played it on TV, but I haven't like
finished. You want to know who the guy's
movie.
name is who played all the Oompa Loompas in that movie?
Was it just one guy?
He has a great stage name. One guy.
Fuck. Who is it?
Who plays all of them? His name is Deep Roy.
That's his stage name?
That's his stage name.
That's
great.
fucking amazing, dude. Deep Roy. That sounds like
he's great.
What a badass of a name.
Loompas, and he's a really fun actor. What else? So, you played this game as a kid, right?
Oh yeah, dude. That game was my childhood. I remember there was a while where I had a hard time tracking it down for PS2. And that kind of like makes it even more of a special game for me because for like the longest I played it a little bit. On like the PS2 and I loved it. But then like the CD broke or like I lost it. I don't know what happened to it. And for the longest time I had trouble tracking it down. And like that shit took years, dude. It took so fucking much. And then I found like a copy of it in like some store that was just selling it for real cheap, and I got it. And like that game is even more special to me because of it, because it's like the game that I've been trying to track down for like the fucking longest time, and now I have it. It's like you can imagine it's just, you know, it's I associate a lot of good shit to it.
I get that. Yeah. So I had a game like that, which was Star Trek Bridge Commander. I never actually got it when I was a kid, but when I was a kid, I was like the hugest Star Trek fan ever.
Yeah.
Even more than I am today. And like it was just like my absolute dream game, you know? You get to play as a Starfleet captain, you get to have your own ship, and it's like, that's me, that's what I wanted, you know?
Yeah.
And I could never get it, because when I wanted it, it was like easily like 5 or 6 years after that game came out. I couldn't find it anywhere. I wanted to buy it on eBay, but it was like super expensive.
Sure.
Because back in the day, a lot of people used that game for like fan films and like animations and stuff because it had a really good engine for that.
Yeah.
And I could never get it until like a week ago. I discovered that it was on GOG, you know, Good Old Games.
Oh yeah.
And I've started playing it for like the first time ever. So it's like, yes.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dark Knight fan says my gameplay skills are surprisingly amazing. Thank you.
Oh yeah, dude. You're really good at this game.
Usually I'm really terrible at games, especially like Spider-Man games.
Yeah.
Anybody remember that one stream I did with Xavier where he was yelling at me because I wasn't delivering pizza enough?
Oh my god, was that Spider-Man? You guys played Spider-Man 2? I think I missed that stream.
That might have been Spider-Man 2, the game.
Yeah, because
Like,
that's the only game that lets you deliver pizzas. Yeah, that's Spider-Man 2. That's Spider-Man 2.
And I was like flipping unnecessarily.
Yeah.
It was very stressful.
Oh, dude,
It was a lot easier.
Spider-Man 2 is one of those games where I didn't play the actual PS2 game until like I was 15. Because I had the PC version of Spider-Man 2 for like the longest time, and that's the one that like I knew about for like as long as I could remember. And then I found out about like the other version, the better one, the PS2 one, way later down the line. Like I didn't know that existed. And again, same story with Ultimate Spider-Man. I found it in some store for like a really cheap price, and I got it. And yeah, man, that was the end of that. That was the rest is history, as they say. I played it, I loved it. It's a phenomenal game.
And ever since then, you have been cartoonishly obsessed with Spider-Man 2, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like,
I have like a whole shrine in my room. I don't have a shrine. But you know, it's a really good game. It's a really solid game. I think what they did with the swinging is really interesting.
Games were good.
Remember when movie license games existed? I miss those. Even the bad ones. I miss them.
Now we just have like, whenever a new movie's out, you just get like a Fortnite skin and that's about it.
Or like a really shitty mobile game.
Yeah. I of all the things that Disney has done, I think one of the things that I will never forgive them for is them dissolving LucasArts.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, that fucking sucks.
So much good shit out of LucasArts.
Man. I'm really sad now. Think of the amount of movie tie-in games for superheroes we could have gotten in like the past decade. Like fucking Spider-Man: Homecoming. I know there's like the VR game that came out, but that was like a really shitty like 2-minute game. That doesn't count. I'm talking about like
Marvel's Spider-Man for PS4 and look.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that game was real shitty. That game was. I'm joking. That game was good, dude. You know what? I've had my criticism of that game, as like the fucking 0.001% of you might remember or like know. But that game's a solid game.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely.
Have you played it? You've played it, right?
Well, I've played it like 10 minutes, like maybe an hour or two. I streamed some of it when I played it at Xavier's house.
Yeah, I remember joining in on that stream. It was
I don't
very
know if
late into it.
that stream is still visible because Xavier makes those unlisted after he finishes them to so they don't
Like
uh,
interrupt the
sabotage his algorithm
yeah,
ranking, but which I understand.
because it's
But
YouTube.
there might be like a stream highlights of that at some point.
Yeah, there is a
Maybe
stream
he's already,
highlights.
maybe Benji has already done it. I don't know. That man has more patience than I could ever have. Just
No, he's done it.
constantly,
He's done stream
constantly
highlights.
just Benji just constantly digs through the worst of humanity to find something funny. And by the worst of humanity, I mean Xavier and I.
Scum of the earth, bottom of the barrel.
Let's go to the earth, yeah. Hell yeah, we are.
Yeah, check this out. You can break their backs. Look, you can just fucking snap their spines. Fuck, let me.
So, William, are you excited for the Alan Wake remaster?
Alan, what? Yeah, dude, I'm excited for that.
I have not played any of the Alan Wake games.
Oh wait, sorry. I I said that without thinking. I actually haven't played Alan Wake, so I'm not like as excited as like like the longtime fans are. But like, I am excited in that a lot of games are being remade. Like a lot of classic games are being remade. I'm certainly excited for the
Well,
Dead
the
Space
interesting
remake.
thing about I do find these remake trend interesting because you can take a classic game and you can just remake it and have the same story and it'll be a different experience versus when you remake a movie where it doesn't seem to justify itself quite as much because watching a movie is the same experience whether you watch a movie that's brand new or a movie that's 10 years old
Of
or
course.
100 years old.
Well, it's
It
because
doesn't change that much.
it's because the product is
Because of technology and
reliant
game
on
mechanics and all that, I know, but
yeah.
it's just an interesting detail. But the reason why I want that KOTOR 2 remake is that I really want the opportunity for that game to be finished
Okay.
and to be made properly. Man, I'm just murdering all these people. It's like,
Hey, check this out. It's Rhino's
am I the
footprint.
baddie? Am I the bad guy?
Do you see that right there?
Yes, I see it. But, like,
Rhino's
am I
footprint.
the bad guy? Because I'm murdering all these people.
Well, yeah, you're Billie Eilish. I'm sorry.
Oh, speaking of... did you know there's a very, very specific Australia connection in Bad Guy by Billie Eilish?
Yeah. There's the fucking traffic lights shit that they used.
Yeah,
in
the
like the
traffic
background of
light
the
is
song.
in the song.
I saw that video.
Like she and her brother were traveling in Australia, and they heard like this beeping traffic light, and they're like, "That sounds like a nice beat. We could put that in a song." And that's
Yeah.
like the one of the main hooks in that.
Yeah, it's very subtle because it's like in the background, like
Yeah.
buried amongst other sound
So-
effects and instruments, but it's there.
Waffles for Lunch said, "I would love it if they made a KOTOR 2 remake so they can make KOTOR 3." You know, that I do see where you're going with that because there is a really open-ended ending to the second game. But I think I kind of like that there's not an answer to that ending, but I do think that we need a more complete story. And if they have a more complete story and have an interesting way to move forward with that, I mean, sure, hell yeah, let's have a KOTOR 3, but I want a KOTOR 2 remake first because that story was so cut to shreds because the publisher wanted that game out in 15 months, which is like it's almost impossible to make a good game in that amount of time, even considering the fact that Obsidian just reused a huge amount of assets
Yeah.
for that game. They basically use the same engine, the same combat. They just refined it.
Okay.
I really do love KOTOR 2, though. It's it's so atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting and thoughtful, and I really love the world building. I really felt that the world building in KOTOR is a lot more interesting than the world building in the Star Wars movies themselves.
Yeah.
Honestly, it especially KOTOR 2, but the first one as well has this feeling. If it sort of amps up the fantasy side of Star Wars, where it is very much a sci-fi universe, but it has this like fantasy. It feels like you're reading like a fantasy novel almost.
Okay.
It has that sort of tone to it.
That's kind of cool.
Just
See, I'm not like too big of a fan of Star Wars, so like I can't appreciate it as much as like you might.
Yeah.
But it sounds really cool.
I mean, I am unfortunately a bigger fan of Star Wars than I would like to admit to myself. Mostly because my older brother, was a huge Star Wars fan, and some of that rubbed off on me, unfortunately.
Hell yeah.
Like in that book, a shelf of books back there is a decent Star Wars section. Even though most of it is my brother's, he moved out, but he hasn't picked any of that shit out.
Can you point to it real quick? Which one?
Um,
What shelf are you talking about?
I mean, I don't want to. After I beat up these guys, so give me 1 second.
What guys are you talking about? You're carrying somebody to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Are you sure you're playing the game right now?
Yes, I am, of course. Right there in the middle.
Yeah.
Mortaka Yoshida. I've seen the first scene of the Mandalorian, but that's about it. I don't like the Mandalorian. I watched the first episode, and honestly, to me, it feels like bad like fan fiction.
You don't say that about Jon Favreau's fucking thing, you piece of shit. I will fight you on that. I'm talking about my Lord and Savior like that. Nah, but I think Jon Favreau did a good job on it. I recommend you watch the entire thing, honestly. It's really good.
Anybody remember when Jon Favreau directed that movie called Chef after he got burned working with
Marvel
on a big budget movie with Iron Man 2? And then he said, like, you know what, it's fine, I can do my own thing, I can, have artistic independence, and it doesn't matter if I have a big platform or not, as long as I'm creating what I want to create. Yeah. And then immediately after that, he directed the Lion King remake.
Yeah, I want to say you're wrong because I want to defend him, but
I mean, it's just somewhat ironic that immediately after he made this declaration of creative independence, he went back and worked for the same people that burned him.
I feel like what would have happened is they made a deal. They're like, hey, you can do whatever you want at Marvel or at Disney, and then, but like, just do this thing for us, okay? Do it the way we want it to, and then free reign. We'll give you what you want. And I feel like that was a deal he struck. Because, like, I don't know, man. I don't kind of buy him just going back on his word like that if he didn't get something in return.
Oh, absolutely. He got to do what he wants. Like, I mean, that's basically what The Mandalorian was. It was just like Jon Favreau going, "Oh, I want to tell this story," and he was kind of in the right place, right time, sort of thing.
Of course, yeah.
Because Disney was like, we need stuff to put on Disney Plus to get people to watch. Mm-hmm. So let's fuck it, do something Star Wars. Okay, Jon Favreau, you have a Star Wars idea? Okay, fuck it, do it. We'll spend $100 million on this.
If only they said the same thing during Iron Man 2. I feel so robbed. Because for the people in chat, I love Iron Man 1. I think it's the best MCU movie, barring Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. For Iron Man 2 to have ended up the way it did is a big fucking downer for me. and it honestly is really disappointing. It's kind of like how people felt with Dead Space 3, or with Mass Effect 3, or to some extent with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh, I was gonna say Spider-Man 3 to some extent with that, but also definitely the way the Amazing Spider-Man 2 turned out. It was like, what the fuck? Seriously? That's what we get from the guy that made Iron Man 1?
I mean, I have a different situation because, like, I'm an X-Men fan, and I just have to deal with the fact that there's this one guy who made my favorite and my least favorite movies in the series who is also a sexual predator.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel the same
you
because...
have to balance, like, you're for the good stuff he did for the franchise with the reality that he really did fuck it over.
I wouldn't say he fucked it over. Like, I feel like if you separate the fact that he made it... Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
He killed the franchise with X-Men Apocalypse.
Fair, yeah. Because, I mean, X-Men Dark Phoenix wasn't all that bad. I feel like people still had, like, a sour taste in their mouth from Apocalypse.
Yeah, but...
That movie was real bad.
I still think that people would have liked Dark Phoenix better if it hadn't followed up Apocalypse.
Yeah, you know what? To be fair, like, and I'm not defending anyone in particular. I'm just like sort of going off the idea is that those like everything after X-Men: Days of Future Past, or I guess like even before it, like X-Men: Days of Future Past is like the only thing that was just you know, the outlier. I guess, you know, saving first class, right? But everything other than that after X-Men 3 was just inconsistent. Let's just pump out whatever. Oh yeah, and Logan. But like even then, it kind of falls into the thing that I'm saying is that they never really cared about continuity after those movies, like the ones that I just mentioned. I guess Logan a little bit. Like there's still some shit that tracks, but the prequel movies specifically, I don't think they really like gave a shit about continuity after that, which is fine.
I would have really loved to see a two-parter version of Dark Phoenix like it was originally intended to be.
That would have been cool. Like kind of like a Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Have you seen the alternate ending to Dark Phoenix that's on YouTube?
I haven't.
It's super fucking dark, but it's great.
I don't mind
that when you're not providing witty commentary for this stream.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Well, it's from the it's based on the pre-reshoots version, where all the X-Men abandon Charles because they realize that he kind of screwed them over and they don't need him like without that. Mm-hmm. And then in that version of the story, only he and Cyclops went to save Jean, and everybody else left.
Oh.
And
that was the ending, or that was like the original script, like the original.
That
idea?
was the original ending before the reshoots.
Okay.
And it was sort of a much more sort of intimate, quiet ending, which is, you know, a shame because that last action scene was awesome.
It was great.
But in that ending, it's just so downer and depressing because it's just Professor X just like closing up the school and just leaving.
Oh.
And it's just so grim and sad. But it could have been really interesting if, like, imagining if that was like part one of a two-parter story where part two is like the X-Men coming back together and, you know, saving things.
Like a Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame type of thing? Or like the threads get picked up after each movie?
Emotional, but with a little bit more emotionally honest and emotionally earned.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this hot take. I've had this hot take for years, which is that Dark Phoenix is the good version of Captain America: Civil War, because I've never really felt that Captain America: Civil War really. It felt wrong to me. It felt like the characters shouldn't be doing what they're doing.
It felt artificial.
It felt like the conflict felt forced, and
Yeah.
this shouldn't be a conflict that the characters are having. But Dark Phoenix, the conflict felt a lot more real, and it was a lot more. It was built up better, even though it was just one movie.
Okay, I can agree to that actually. Like, I mean, there's a lot like they presented in Civil War like there's no case to be made for the Avengers. Like, you guys did that, you fucked up. There's no alternative. Like, you can't say anything in return, and they never
I'm
try.
not talking about that. I'm talking about the conflict between the characters. I'm talking about Tony Stark versus Captain America.
I see. Okay.
I just never felt that. Oh no, I'm in the water now. Oh, fun.
Yeah, you're in the water.
You know, I can swim better than Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, and don't say anything too revealing. But
Yeah.
how long do you want to keep this up?
Could you repeat it?
How long do you want to keep this up?
I'll text you.
Okay. But I was sort of just talking about the whole like presentation, or sorry, the idea of like this Sokovia Accords. Like, all of that felt artificial for me for no other reason than you could have like diffused everything that he said with like 2 examples and 1 argument, but they didn't.
That's
They
true.
never even considered
But
that.
also, I'm just talking about the emotional dynamics of Tony Stark versus
Steve Rogers.
Captain America.
Oh,
I
you
never
didn't
felt
tell me that your
that-
best friend killed my parents like fucking 50 years
Yeah,
ago
that-
or
that
some
was-
shit?
That whole end conflict was it just didn't work for me. And besides that, I never really felt why Tony Stark had such a fire under his ass the whole movie, being like, I need to fix everything.
I didn't get
Because
that
it
either.
felt like by this point he should realize that doing that causes more harm than good.
Well, you see, it's because a weapon that he created kind of turned on itself, and the purpose for this weapon's creation kind of backfired and was used against the people he created it to protect them from harm. So his arc in that movie is to realize that he needs to atone for his past sins by becoming a better man, and so he has to prove himself that he won't create any more weapons, and he has to rectify the choices. He has to make things right because his weapons
Are you
destroyed.
describing the character arc of Tony Stark in Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Avengers 2, Captain
No.
America Civil War.
Captain America Civil War. No, that they never what they reused those. They didn't do that. That couldn't be.
No,
Iron
no,
Man has the
obviously.
same character arc in like all the fucking Avengers and MCU movies. No way. No, what?
No way.
That's insane. You see, is this
Yeah,
kid serious,
but-
guys? Is this guy serious? They wouldn't do that. The MCU is everything interconnected and very well thought out. They wouldn't reuse the same character arc like every fucking appearance. What? Except for like Iron Man 3. I actually liked his arc in Iron Man 3 because it didn't
Yeah,
just
Iron
recycle
Man
it.
3 is interesting because it's exploring the trauma of Avengers, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Moritaka Ishida is saying he thinks that it was trying to explore trauma but didn't do it very well. Yeah,
Iron Man 1 did the same thing though. Iron Man 1 was all about
I
him
think
trying to
that-
rectify his mistakes through
the
him
problem
having
that
experienced
I
trauma.
felt- I can't really describe it concretely, but my feeling with Captain America Civil War is I just get this like gut feeling that the characters are that it's not character driven storytelling, but it's plot driven
Plot-driven.
storytelling in the sense that writers know where the story is going. They know where they have to move these characters to.
Mhm.
And they're just going, okay, how can we get there?
Yeah. And like by all means, that could be fine. That like you could structure a character-driven story like that, but it's just the execution of it. I feel like it doesn't feel very natural. It's
So
like
therefore, Dark Phoenix is the superior version of a team torn apart, because when these characters are torn apart, it's because they have, well, I mean, in previous movies, Professor X and Magneto have disagreed before, but then when, spoiler alert, Beast switches over to Magneto's side, you understand where he's coming from, because they establish in the movie earlier on that he is being controlling and he is not listening to the people around him. And there's emotional weight to all of that in a way that I don't feel there is emotional weight. Oh, I'm in the water again. Emotional weight to Civil War. There isn't. Does that make sense?
I agree. I feel like I you know what? This is a really hot take. Civil War was loved by everybody because of Spider-Man and was highly anticipated because of Spider-Man. Spider-Man was a really cool aspect in Civil War. I will admit. I did love him a lot.
And also because
in that movie.
Because Uwu, Soft Boy, Winter Soldier, Bucky, I wanna squish his face.
Also because this is Avengers movie actually, but let's call it Captain America 3 because fuck you.
Yeah.
The MCU isn't as good as I think a lot of people say it is.
I really gave up on the MCU around the time that I watched Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel, more than any other MCU movie, has so many just pointless connections and references to the previous MCU movies that you're supposed to connect with and be like, oh, look, that thing.
Yeah. You okay? You paused a little bit.
And then those references are the point in and of themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think the MCU is as strong as... Like, I saw Captain Marvel, and I didn't think it was anything too special. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, I was just unaffected by it. I was just, oh, okay. Oh, the Skrulls are actually the... Okay. Oh, is that... Oh, she... Okay. Oh, so her friends... Okay, her friends... I see, okay. There wasn't any, like... Oh my... What? There wasn't, like, any of that moment. There was... I didn't care about any of the characters. Even Carol Danvers. There was a moment in the movie that could have been really cool, and it was really cool, just, like, by itself. Where, like, she's out in space destroying the fucking ships. That was sick. I didn't feel anything. I didn't care about the character. I wasn't happy for her. I wasn't, like, just... I wasn't invested. I feel like a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's always so, like, unlikable. She's always sarcastic. She's like, she's smug all the time. It's not a likable character.
MCU stories, which is writers who aren't Joss Whedon trying to be Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
So they're just being quippy, but Joss Whedon, say what you will about him, he is a controversial man, to say the least. He knows how to mix together the quips with actual character interactions and dynamics.
Yeah. With Joss Whedon, it's styles that add substance. With everything else, it's
he
style
knows how
over
to do his own style well.
Right.
But people who aren't him doing it, they don't manage to balance the serious side of things with the quips. And some would argue that even Joss Whedon doesn't manage to do
Yeah. I feel like that's why I love Iron Man 1 and the Guardians movies. It's because Iron Man 1 knew when it like to have funny moments, it knew when to have serious moments, and it could balance them. It didn't like interrupt one for the other. It didn't cut off this really emotional, tense moment for like a quick cheap joke.
Because,
yeah.
That's because James Gunn doesn't try to copy Joss Whedon's style.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
He does his own thing.
Like, it's very similar, but it's different enough to where it doesn't feel like he's trying too hard. And I feel like that's the problem. They try too hard. Fucking, what's... Spider-Man... No, not Spider-Man movies. What's... I'm trying to think of, like, a movie that I saw. I've chosen to, like... keep MCU movie memory stored in like a vault at the back of my mind so that I don't have to remember them, because they're pain. I see them and I groan. I'm like, that's not funny. I don't. Why stop? What are you doing? So for me to like pick a specific example from a specific movie is really hard for me right now. Fuck, I even forgot what the point I was trying to make was, but I think if you want to do something like, quipping and action at the same time, don't interrupt a serious moment or like a tense moment or just, a moment that doesn't need quips and is just fine on its own. Don't cut that short and interrupt it for a quip. That doesn't work. Okay, I remembered. What If did that in the Marvel Zombies episode? It did that so fucking much, and I hated it. And the sad thing is, I was really excited for that show. Xavier can tell you about it because he knows. I was really looking forward to that show, and there was honestly like maybe 2 episodes out of the 5 that came out that I really genuinely love, that I think are like either pretty good or really good. And that's it. Just 2 out of the 5. That's like it's not good. You shouldn't be having that problem. All the episodes should be consistently good. You should have like a consistent vision. The Doctor Strange one is my favorite one because it knew when to like switch between a funny moment and a really serious moment, and a heartfelt moment and an emotional moment, without either of them feeling like they're intruding on the other. I feel like that's why everybody loves that episode. It's because it knew how to balance out its tones really fucking well. The one with Marvel Zombies, like, blam, 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 like, that's all I need to say. Why? Why did that exist? Why did that need to be there? What did that add? It was irrelevant. It just existed for the sake of existing. It was there for the sake of a cheap joke. And it's so, like, tedious and frustrating because every MCU movie and every MCU product, minus a couple, does that. And it's like, why? It doesn't work. It's not funny. Nobody finds it funny. I mean, some people do, but you get the point. It's not something that works, I don't think. Anyway.
You gotta keep up. Yeah.
The other good episode I like.
DC is producing all of the interesting superhero movies right now.
DC knows how to do it. Suicide Squad 2 is the perfect example of MCU trying to be MCU, but actually succeeding at it. Because it has those like funny moments mixed in and injected in those like serious moments. But it doesn't.
There's a lot less micromanagement of the DC universe because there's a lot of different people who are all working on the DC universe at the same time. Yeah. And they're not necessarily all talking to each other. And also, the guy who runs DC Films isn't as... He isn't planning things quite as much as Kevin Feige is doing. Yeah. So there's a little bit more...
leeway.
Yeah, leeway to do different things. And of course, sometimes they do bad things with that, and sometimes they do good things with that.
I will never forgive the MCU for turning Doctor Strange into what it is now. Because that shit was actually gonna be really dark and really just like interesting.
I just lost interest in Doctor Strange when I saw him in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. I was just no.
I'm excited for the second one because Sam Raimi is a master at directing, doing what the MCU loves to do with their movies. If you've seen any of the Raimi movies or even the Evil Dead movies, he knows how to like inject the little funny like quippy moments into like the serious holy shit moments without them feeling like without it feeling jarring. Well, yeah, of course, but you know.
We will see. I would like to see what. I'd like to hear in his own words what drew him to directing this movie.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure there'll be like an interview about it.
Why did he decide to do this? Was it a... Because he hasn't directed a movie since 2013.
What did he direct then?
Oz the Great and Powerful, starring James Franco.
I actually haven't seen that.
It's not good. Don't see it.
Yeah. I also miss it when fucking connected universes reference other characters and make it clear that this is an extended universe through like simple name drops, just like this. Like the game just did that. Instead of like dedicating an entire fucking scene or stopping an entire scene to point and show you and hold your hand and tell you, look, this is Captain America's shield. Do you like the... We're interconnected. Isn't that cool? Watch our movies, please.
I groaned in the theater in the moment in... whatchamacallits, in Captain Marvel, when they revealed that the name... where the Avengers name came from.
Captain Marvel is like the biggest offender for just taking something and then retconning it. SHIELD wasn't called SHIELD until like the end of Iron Man 1 because they didn't know what name to get for it. They used the long name, not the abbreviation. They established that name at the end of that movie because Agent Coulson was like, yeah, so we're the strategic homeland, blah blah blah. And then a bunch of people was like, dude, you should like get a short name for that. And they go, yeah, we're working on it. Then Captain Marvel's like, oh yeah, no, it exists. Yeah, no, it's SHIELD from like 19 fucking something. It's okay, but like, what happened? Why? Why'd you make that decision? And that's just one of like the many fucking things that movie did that kind of like goes against the pre-established canon. Oh man, MCU just... I'm not a fan of it.
It just became the MCU power complaining hour, but...
Yeah,
I guess that's what happens when Xavier doesn't show up, because he'd just be like...
We would have done that anyway.
I'm just tired of this, let's talk about something else.
We would have done that anyway. I do that with Xavier a lot. I complain about the MCU a lot with him.
You're just a bitter man, I guess.
I feel let down by the MCU. I was really excited for like the longest time for like new movies that come out. And then I slowly realized...
Shang-Chi?
Have I seen what?
Shang-Chi.
No, I haven't. Because it's a cinemas exclusive movie only, remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you can't go to the cinemas because
we're in lockdown.
You're in bad boy lockdown.
We're in shit, man. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. Look, I for the longest time I was really excited for the MCU shit, and then I slowly realized what it is they do and how cheap it is. And I think like Homecoming sort of made me realize that.
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I'm like, I love that movie. When I first saw it, I'm like, that movie's great. And then I watched it again. I'm like, hold on a second, it really isn't.
It was a slow process for me, but I think the big turning points were Captain Marvel, and oh look, it's a Matrix reference.
Look, the Venom movie had like that exact same fucking action scene. Yeah. He like fights people the same way. Oh, not in this cutscene, but like they do reference a lot of you. They use this game as a reference for the fight scenes.
I will say that like, what was it? So like, it was that and Infinity War. I really did not like Infinity War.
It was a slow
And
burn
I
for
know
me
that's a
too.
hot take. But I hated Infinity War. I remember I was driving home from the theater in that after I saw that movie, and I was just sitting in the car. Like I had my steering wheel right here, right?
Hmm.
I was just going, no, no, it's not okay that they did that. It's not okay. No.
Which is weird because like everybody was excited. Everybody loved that movie. They were like, "This is a great movie."
I hated it. First time I saw it, I hated it.
I kind of had the opposite effect. Because I mean, it's kind of like I said, Homecoming made me sort of slow to realize what it is the MCU does with like their movies and how cheap it kind of. For me anyway, I shouldn't say that, but with the climate of the internet, I kind of need to. This is just my opinion. Don't tweet at me. I don't check Twitter anyway, but don't get mad at me. You fucking feel about it the way you want to. But
Canceled even though you don't have a platform on the website.
I do. I just don't use it. But I don't know, man. Homecoming was kind of like the eye opener. I went into Infinity War loving it. Actually, I thought it was a great movie. Endgame was when I started to go, okay, hold on a second. This kind of fucking sucks. This is just a lot that I didn't like about it, and that's kind of when my eyes were open, and then the moment of realization came in. I don't like MCU movies.
Oh yeah, you know what? To change subject for a second, I just finished downloading Black Mesa while we were streaming.
Oh, nice. Hey,
So
David.
we can play that for the next one, maybe.
Hold on a second. I have your stream open on my phone. I'm looking at your face cam. If your hands are up there, who's controlling the character?
I'm just that good. I don't need to touch the keyboard.
Surprised nobody's ever fucking like nobody called attention to it.
No, nobody noticed.
He's been at that for like fucking what, 3 minutes? Just like your hands off like anything that would be a keyboard or a controller.
I wonder who's playing.
I wonder who's playing. You know what? You know what?
I don't know.
It's Xavier.
What? Yeah, it's
He's
Xavier.
he's not in
like
stream
another
because he's
room.
playing, dude. He's hiding under under David's desk with like a little fucking monitor that he's got, and he's playing off of that. He's in the stream now. That's who it is. It's gotta be. This is like where you tap your knee against a desk and then you say that's Xavier.
That's Xavier.
That's
right
Xavier.
There. He's not allowed to talk right now, so.
Yeah, I know. He fucking duct taped his mouth.
Yeah. Just so he would just concentrate on playing.
People are surprised in chat. Wait, David's not the one playing?
David, the telekinetic gamer.
Insert that scene from Far From Home where Mystery goes, "See? That wasn't that hard." And then everybody fucking cheers.
Yeah. So.
Speaking of MCU Spidey movies, I'll let you go first, actually.
So MCU Spider-Man movies, I like Far From Home fine. It's not great. I think that the villain was a little bit weak, and it kind of the twist that he was secretly there in the first Iron Man movie didn't really work for me.
He was in Civil War. There was a guy from the first Iron Man movie that was there, which like I didn't get why.
Yeah, well, you know what, whatever. The fact that he was connected secretly to Iron Man was not. I mean, it's a cool twist in the moment,
Yeah.
but it's not. It doesn't really bring anything new to the story, and
It's been done before.
I mean, but it was fine.
I thought Mysterio was good. He was like super comic accurate from the way he's portrayed in that movie. Because I'm sure like Xavier's told you about this, but I'll fucking reiterate anyway. In the comics, he was just this guy who like fucking framed Spider-Man directly, and who like pretended to be this good guy. And they kind of do that. They keep that. He pretends to be a good guy, but he indirectly like frames Spider-Man for shit. Like he vilifies him, at least not publicly, but like in the eyes of Shield a little bit, I guess. I like that. I like the way his suit is just a fucking like CGI mocap suit. I liked how his illusions are just CGI. I thought that was neat. What I didn't like, and what made no sense to me, is why he needed Edith when he already had the hologram drone technology. Why did you need Edith? And if you wanted Edith for the hologram drone technology, how the fuck do you have them to begin with before you got Edith? That I feel like needed to be ironed out.
Well, I mean, I didn't like Homecoming at all.
Yeah.
It was just one of those movies that just made me angry just watching it, because it just everything felt out of character.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think they did a very good job of portraying Spider-Man. They had all the building blocks there. And like the other day I was actually thinking like, how would I have made Homecoming with like everything that they had, like everything that it set up. And I feel like it was just a missed opportunity. Like, I'm not an expert or anything. I'm not like claiming to be an expert, but
I also think that the direction isn't very good in those movies.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of shit could just be made so much better and more interesting with what you have. Like, you don't need to make that drastic of a change to make it like better. You just needed to like retool some shit and figure out the like.
John Watts is the biggest example of maybe you shouldn't give a big budget blockbuster to a guy who directed one or two indie movies.
Yeah,
I think he's a good guy. I think I don't have anything against him, and I don't want anybody to insult him.
Of course not.
But I just think that he wasn't. He doesn't have. It was not well directed. He was not the guy to make that movie.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm very not suspicious of his take on Fantastic Four.
I honestly do not really. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't really care about him. I like him
because I'm a fan of the original ones.
So am I. I like him. With Jessica
They're
Alba.
Cartoony and they're goofy, but they're fun.
Like the 2000s one with Jessica
the first
Alba.
One. The second one. Yeah, I mean, what did you say?
Do you mean like the 2000s one with Jessica Alba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans.
And yeah, I don't know why I said like Jessica Alba, like as if she's exclusively the main character of that movie. She's the only one that came to mind.
Yeah, because you were obviously you're obviously just a horny person who's thinking about the most attractive character in that movie.
And yeah, like that's probably what it is actually. I don't.
Yeah, and that's of course why I mentioned Chris Evans, but whatever. Anyway,
I mean, look, to each his own.
Anyway, I think it's goofy and it's fun. They're not great or anything, but I had fun watching them, and I think they hold up on that level.
Yeah. I feel the same. I love those movies. I mean, like I acknowledge their flaws, but I still love them, especially the first one.
I enjoy them. That's the way I put it.
It's a really weird thing with me is I say I would love a movie even though I acknowledge it's bad. Like, just because I say I love it doesn't mean I think it's like perfect or a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really good time watching it is just what I mean. But what you would call enjoying, I would say loving.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you
the
want to
sequel I liked less so. I didn't like their take on the Silver Surfer.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were gonna say Galactus.
That's what I meant. I meant Galactus.
Oh, okay.
but it was overall not too terrible.
I don't really remember much of it. I just remember seeing remember going into like a TV store one time and seeing that movie just playing.
They get married in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they do. I didn't think Galactus was
tries
as.
to get into the wedding, but they don't let him.
Stanley has the best cameos, but I remember not minding their take of Galactus. Like I didn't think it was that offensive. I'm like, whatever. He's just a guy who eats planets.
He was underwhelming as an antagonist. He just wasn't interesting.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I do think that's kind of why I think that there's some interesting potential to Eternals, because like with the Eternals movie, they're just like making the Eternals, you know, in that trailer, they're making them basically like they are in the comics, you know, the giant weird guys with like the multiple eyes and all that.
Yeah.
Where they're not being embarrassed of the design in the way that the 2000s superhero movies were.
Oh yeah, dude! I was having a conversation with Xavier about that actually, because we the fucking X-Men and Spider-Man, those original like 2000 movies came up, and I was saying it was also in relation to the MCU and how like they're embarrassed of the source material a lot of the time for whatever reason, and we were sort of going about like why that like why they shouldn't be. And I was sort of saying, like, it was different in the 2000s because not many people really looked at superhero movies the same way they do today. As a matter of fact, like, they just looked at them as, oh, it's those movies that we don't take seriously. So, like, it was okay for a lot of the superhero movies back then to be, like, less goofy and to sort of stray away from the source as much as they could. Like, you know, why the X-Men never wore the comic accurate costumes, and they had to like resort to leather jackets, right? It's like, because I mean, if you want to sell the idea of a superhero movie to that audience back then, they're not gonna take those characters seriously. They're like, well, what the fuck's he wearing? Like, I don't want to see that. It's for kids, because that was the mentality back then. But like that was back then. Is my point. Nowadays, you have people like, you know, fucking Doctor Strange wearing what he does, and Spider-Man, and you know, just all these characters, and it's like they're still kind of ashamed to go back to reference their origin roots. Like Scarlet Witch didn't wear her Scarlet Witch costume until fucking, I don't know, years after she was introduced on screen. Every other time she was just wearing clothes that resembled the original costume. Like red jackets and whatever. And it was like, why? Why would you do that? You know, so I don't know how that conversation started actually, but I don't know. I guess food for thought, but
I'm just letting you talk, and
I think I'm having a little bit of LP tax. I'm like starting off points.
True. Well, it's also that I only have so much to say about superhero movies, so
yeah. No, that's fair.
So I'm gonna change the subject for a moment.
Yeah.
Have you seen the John Wick movies, perchance?
I have not. No.
Oh, you should. They're great.
Xavier's been trying to get me to watch them, but I've been turned off by the gore. Because I don't know how much gore I should expect. I should check the Does a Dog Die? But I don't know how much gore I should expect. And whether I can handle it.
I've seen the second two. I haven't seen the first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're really good. And low-key kind of political in ways that a lot of people don't talk about.
Okay. I have voice right there.
I just bring that up because I've just been thinking about those movies a lot because I've been thinking about making a video about that.
Okay.
And also, I watched this movie on Netflix called Gunpowder. Well, I started watching it. I haven't finished it yet. Called Gunpowder Milkshake, starring Karen Gillan from Doctor Who. You might have also seen her in a little movie that you might have heard of called Guardians of the Galaxy. But of course,
Who'd she play?
I will always remember her as Amy Pond from Doctor Who.
Who'd she play in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Nebula.
Ah.
And she stars. It's kind of like the John Wick sort of premise, which is this underground world of assassins and I work for the firm and blah 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 blah. And it was just so underwhelming for me because it just felt like a copy paste of John Wick, but without what makes John Wick work, and it was just depressing. But I think it's kind of funny how John Wick has created this whole like subgenre of action movies that deal with like the underground worlds of assassins and their code of conduct and their ethics and that sort of thing. It's kind of interesting how
Have you seen Nobody?
one movie has created a genre now. I can think of like at least 2 or 3 other movies that have tried to copy it in the last year.
I'm guessing Nobody's one of them.
Well, Nobody is also written by the guy who created John Wick, so we will allow
Doesn't count?
it.
Okay.
But yes, that is one of them.
But have you've seen it by,
No,
You haven't?
I have not.
It's a really fun movie. I suggest you see it. I'm interested in your opinion. But I saw it. So I guess technically I saw a John Wick movie, if you want to look at it that way.
Well, it's not a John Wick movie. It's just written by the same guy who wrote the John Wick movies.
Okay.
Oh, John Wick 4, I'm excited for it. They're filming it right now because they have Donnie Yen in it.
I don't know who that is. What's
you know
he been
who
in?
he is?
No.
He's one of the biggest stars of Chinese movies of the past, like, decade. He played Ip Man, who was,
Oh, yeah! Dude, I love Ip Man.
Yeah, it's that guy.
So good. So good.
He's gonna be in John Wick, so he's gonna have some good fight scenes, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Dude, you know what? You just got me excited for it.
What's really cool about the John Wick movies is that, the first one was directed by these 2 guys, and the second one and the third one and now the fourth one are all directed by one of those guys. But both of those guys are stunt guys.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was a stunt guy for
Oh my God, what?
Keanu Reeves on The Matrix.
Yeah.
So it's a very sort of unconventional path to a filmmaking career, but it's these bunch of guys who really understand and respect the art of real stunts and real performances.
That's kind of cool. It's interesting to see people from disciplines other than like traditional directing movies like that. Like, what's his name? The guy who did District 9. That guy was like a VFX artist.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And the other one that I can think of that's really unconventional is what's his name? Joel Schumacher, who of course directed the best Batman movie of all time, Batman and Robin. He was a costume designer before he moved into writing and directing.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm eating
Anyway, I just thought I would bring your attention to the fact that we've been going for about 90 minutes. So I will stay here as long as you feel like you would like to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Until completion.
That's what she says. We need to keep playing until completion.
Until the very climax of the story.
Oh, yeah?
And then the resolution. We find out the condom exploded and we have a bit of a problem on our hands, which leads to a sequel. And that sequel will set up the entire fucking cinematic universe of this story.
Why? Why did you do this to me?
MCU did that. Look at how successful that was. I feel like I'm boring David by how much I'm just referencing and talking about the MCU.
I'm sorry, I'm tired.
No, it's okay. I say that because like I'm realizing how much the stream has been about that. I have a problem. If you could, this is kind of like therapy. It's a really cool cutscene. She just shoots him in the fucking head. Nothing happens.
Yeah. So I should tell you about one of my favorite Twitter accounts. I don't know if you follow it. It's One Less Than Perfect Shot. It's kind of like a parody
think I've heard of it. One Perfect Shot.
It's a parody of the One Perfect Shot trailer trend.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, frames that are so gorgeous and blah blah blah.
The cinematography proceeds to post 4
really
fucking pictures in the movie.
Looking frames, and I really like it.
Send me one that you think is really funny. I want to check it after the stream. Me kicking Black Widow's ass. I mean, Silver Sable's ass. I'm just throwing cars at her, man. That's they're landing right on her head.
Yeah?
Yeah, on God.
Oh my God.
This is an interesting mission because it starts off as a boss fight and then develops into something entirely different. Like, it's not like the Wolverine boss fight where it's just a boss fight and then a cutscene.
Uh-huh.
It's a boss fight, then a cutscene, then like a completely different mission. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. I like it. A fun fact about this game is that early on, and like when they were writing the script, they wanted to have Doc Ock in the game, but that was before Bendis came on.
Yeah.
Have you read much of Bendis' stuff, David?
What?
Have you read much of Bendis' stuff?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I haven't read a lot of comics, honestly.
That's fair. Have you at least read some of the JMS stuff? Because I know you like him.
No. I have only really seen I've watched Babylon 5, which is I mean almost every episode excuse me for 1 second. So yeah, I've read I've watched Babylon 5, but I haven't read that many of his comics. I mean, I know that Xavier has opinions about that.
About Babylon 5 or his comics?
His comics.
I have opinions about them
But
too. I like him.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I like him. I like the shit he's done. I think what separates JMS from other comic writers is that he tries to inject as much of himself into them. And as a result, it prevents them from feeling generic stories that have no momentum. Because if you read any of his stories, there's always shit happening. And, you know, you kind of want that in a comic series.
Did I ever tell you about how J. Michael Straczynski was totally plagiarized by Star Trek?
No.
So, there was back in the 90s, JMS had been writing for a bunch of shows. He wrote for like He-Man and She-Ra. He wrote for the Real Ghostbusters. But he had this idea that he wanted to do this sci-fi show about this space station and how it's in neutral space, but it's in this area that's very contested, and it's sort of dealing with the tensions between different races and that sort of thing. as we discover these new secrets about the planet and whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he comes up with this Bible for the show, and he starts pitching it to various networks, including pitching it to Paramount. And Paramount owns the rights to Star Trek. So he did that,
Oh,
and Paramount
no.
were interested. He gave a bunch of meetings to them. He pitched it, blah 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 blah. But eventually, they decided to say no. But he did find eventually afterwards. He found a network for it with the WB, and he got it done there. But it very shortly after he gets greenlit, his show gets greenlit, he learns of this other science fiction show about a space station in contested space that orbits this planet where there's some sort of secret reveals underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is a really good show. But basically, it's confirmed that, like, they ripped him off.
Fuck,
and he only learned about it because he was in the writers' room, and some of his writers informed him that they couldn't work on his show anymore because they were also working on this other show called Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
That sucks, man. What the fuck?
Yeah. So, like, basically Paramount was like, "Oh, we like this show that you've created, but we need to attach the Star Trek name to it, so we're gonna rip you off."
We want to steal this off you.
Yeah, and I like both shows. Deep Space Nine does have a very distinct identity to it. It's not the same thing as Babylon 5, but you have to acknowledge the coincidence.
For sure, man. That really fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Someone's saying they hate JMS because he wrote One More Day. Dude, One More Day was never supposed to end up the way it did. That's some bullshit right there, man. One More Day was meant to be about Peter moving on from Aunt May and having one more day with her. Then Joe Quesada was like, what if we actually turned it into an opportunity to just reset Spider-Man? And they still haven't undone the thing. They still haven't followed up on it.
So, I think that... So, one of my favorite facts about Babylon 5 with J. Michael Straczynski is that he wrote... There's about 140, 150 episodes of that show over 5 seasons. And he wrote something like 92 out of those episodes. So, basically, he was just writing the whole show for 5 years straight because... He said, I had such intricate plans for the way things were going to go that it would have taken more time to tell somebody else where he wanted the story to go and then have them write it than if it would take for him to just write everything himself.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
he literally did the Thanos thing and he put the fucking gauntlet on and said, fine,
he did.
I'll do it myself.
Fine, I'll do it myself. And... It was... I love Babylon 5. It's probably one of my favorite TV shows ever. I don't know if you would like it, because I don't know how big of a sci-fi fan
I love JMS, so I'd probably love that show as well. I know
watch it.
You've recommended it to me on so many times, on so many occasions. And I've always said, yeah, but I've never had time. I think I have a lot of time right now. So definitely. I'll definitely do that.
It's on HBO Max if you're in the US. I don't know how you can get it as easily internationally.
I have my ways.
Yeah. So the funny thing about Babylon 5 is that until HBO Max, it was incredibly hard to find. Because there were very few DVD releases, even though it had a very strong fan base. It was almost never on syndication for a while. Yeah. And J. Michael Straczynski has been public with this on Twitter, is that the show was produced outside of the traditional pipeline in the Warner Brothers TV network, or Warner Brothers TV production house. because it was produced for this new network that would eventually become the CW.
Okay.
Um, but because of that, it pissed off all the executives who controlled the WB production house.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't like to acknowledge that this existed and was a hit because it wasn't produced by them.
Oh.
So until HBO Max came along, it was very behind Babylon 5. It was on Amazon Prime for like a week, and then it was on this other streaming service that died in the US called Go 90, and then now it's on HBO Max because at this point Warner Brothers is just, we need to put as much shit on there as we can so we can compete with Disney and Netflix.
It's cool that it happened. It's shitty the way it happened.
Yeah, it's shitty the way it happened, but I'm glad that more people can watch Babylon 5 now because it's such a good show. It's this like epic 5-year arc. So like before Babylon 5, there was not really any science fiction show and very few shows that had like a really planned out narrative arc throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
But after him, it became more of a thing to do that. And it's this really good story about what
Take your time.
It's really interesting because it's kind of like it's a more realistic vision of the future than something like, but it's also nice because it's not a dystopian vision either. It's not Blade Runner, it's not Ghost in the Shell, it's not some cyberpunk nightmare, or another one is Battlestar Galactica, the reboot that I hate.
Uh-huh.
It's very realistic because it has dark moments, but it also leaves the opportunity for levity and fun and lightness.
That sounds like
And
a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. There's this one moment that I think is really illustrative of Babylon 5's philosophy as a show, which is early on in season 1. There's an episode, because the space station that they're on, Babylon 5, is like this international diplomacy thing where all these different alien races can come together and meet, and they can, talk through their problems instead of fighting. And as part of that, they have cultural exchanges. And
Sure.
in one episode, they're having like a cultural exchange where we share our religious beliefs.
I remember
And
you telling me
throughout
about
the whole
that.
episode, the captain of this space station, because it's run by humans, is like, what am I going to say? We have like all of the religions,
Yeah.
So what he does at the end of the episode is that he lines up he has this lineup where he says like, here's what we're going to do for our religious exchange. Here's this guy, he's an atheist. Here's this guy, he's a Christian. Here's this guy, he's a Muslim, blah 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 blah. And then he just says you can talk to all of them.
I remember you
And
telling me about that.
I really love that moment because it's honest, and it's very open-minded towards religion, but it's also very realistic and very human. I think that's something that JMS does really well.
It's a very JMS thing, yeah.
Yeah.
JMS focuses a lot on hope and human importance, I guess, or what would be a better way of putting it. The it's at the tip of my tongue. I can't. What's the word? I don't know, I'll think of it later. But it is a very JMS thing. I would expect nothing less of him. I feel like that's why I like his shit. It's very wholesome. It's very, it's very human.
Life-affirming, maybe?
Life, what? Sorry.
Life affirming.
Yeah, right. Like he solidifies the human worth, I guess. He's like, yeah, these people are different, but that's what makes us us. You know, kind of just embraces that, and I love that about
Oh,
his
and
writing.
speaking of religion, there's also a character in the show who accidentally creates a new religion. Like, there's this alien who's one of the ambassadors in the show, and he's deeply religious. He reads this book of like the holy book of his race, but he accidentally founds his own religion because he has this spiritual crisis halfway through the show where he completely loses, like his world is just completely shaken to its core, and he doesn't know
Oh
what
my
to
god, that was
do
so
or
close.
where to move forward. And then he does something bad, and he goes to prison, and then he writes down his thoughts while he's in prison,
Yep.
and then somebody lets that out, and then a bunch of people start following him, and he's like this wise man now, and they ask him all these questions, and he's just super uncomfortable with that, and he constantly tries to avoid them because he's like, I'm not a
I don't want the attention.
stop listening to me.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Cyborg Diego asks, is there an orgy in Babylon 5? No, it's on 90s television. You couldn't do that shit in the 90s.
He also says, "So David, is this the game? Is this game your worst nightmare?" I'm actually playing this, not him. You missed the memo, my friend.
My worst nightmare is not this. My worst nightmare is much more terrible than this.
What is it? I actually don't know. What is your worst nightmare?
My worst nightmare. I'm not gonna tell you because you could use that shit against me.
Oh, that's a good point. I respect that.
Just kidding. My worst nightmare is Hellraiser sequels. Specifically, Hellraiser Inferno. Watch the video for that. I hated it so much. Did you watch those videos?
Um.
Fuck you. Watch them. Fuck you. Watch them. Fuck you. Watch them.
I've already seen them.
Which one was your favorite?
One of the ones that I've seen.
I'll take your word for it.
No, I haven't seen them actually. I don't know, man. I kind of have this fear of stumbling on something that makes me very uncomfy. Under the premise that I know you said you didn't really put anything too extreme, but it's just a thing that I'm always just worried about when I watch any horror related thing. Even with horror movies that I know nothing bad is gonna happen, I'm just dude, something bad is gonna happen. I'm always just tensed up.
Horror related things.
I like a lot of horror related things. I just mean,
yeah, you
it's just.
horror?
Oh, how did I lose him? What? That is the first time I failed at this mission, actually. You all got to see that on stream. Congratulations. I
was distracting you.
I don't think that's what it was, man. I think you know what? Maybe that's what it was. I'll take no responsibility. I'll blame it on you.
Exactly. That's what I'm here for.
I'm a very mature adult, guys. My fault? How can it be my fault? I'm perfect at this game. It's everybody else's fault. It's the system that's broken.
Certainly better than I am at this game.
In my defense, I have been playing this for a very, very long time. I have had a lot of practice in this game. That shit that I'm doing when I'm swinging, where I give myself a boost and go really long distances, either vertically or horizontally. That shit took a lot of practice. That's a speedrunning technique. And how do I do it? I'm not gonna fucking say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm... What am I thinking here? Just gotta watch those. I haven't watched Sense8. I tried to like it, but I mean, it was just kind of okay. I didn't really care that much. I mean, I think it's an interesting sci-fi concept, but I just didn't really vibe with the execution.
Have you seen Equilibrium?
Oh, what's that?
Oh, the greatest fucking movie. I'll show it to you after the stream.
It might be one of those things that you've told me about before.
I don't think I have. I've told Xavier about it for sure. I haven't told you about it. But I love that movie.
While you're
No, you know what? Don't even do that. Don't do that. I want you to go into it fresh. I don't want you to know anything about the movie.
I think I've heard it before.
You may have. It's a Christian Bale movie. Don't look it up. Seriously, don't. It's like
Oh,
he looks it up anyway.
I'm just looking up the costume. Oh, those they
It's very Matrix.
good for him. Good for him. He kind of looks like he's in the Matrix.
Yeah, look, it's very derivative of the Matrix in terms of costume design, among other things. But it's a really fun movie, if not a stupid one. I love it. Here I go using that word again for a movie that isn't very good. I mean, it's okay. You know what? It's okay. But I love it anyway.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly what it is. I hate that fucking move. I didn't know too bad of that. Oh, I'm not doing too well on health, man. That previous section where I had to rescue the civilians really took it out of me.
My favorite dumb movie is Extraction because good action stunts is my fetish.
Okay.
You know what else is stupid? Top Gun is getting a sequel. That
Top
is
Gun.
true. You know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If there is no unintentionally homoerotic beach volleyball scene in Top Gun 2, then we riot.
I actually haven't
Because
seen
if that's not in...
Top Gun. I don't know what that's about.
It's a Tom Cruise movie from the mid-90s.
Oh,
It's
Top
all
Gun!
about Tom Cruise, like, being a fighter pilot and all that.
That's the movie where the meme with him in the shades and the smile came from, right? I took a fucking fireball to the face.
Maybe? I don't remember.
He, like, has the shades on, he's, like, smiling and, like, nodding with, like, the big shit-eating grin.
That could be any number of 90s movies starring Tom Cruise.
Fair enough.
But it's a decent chance that it's that one. Oh god, Taco says that the volleyball scene is co-ed. No, that's not the point. So there's this in Top Gun there's this scene where all the pilots play beach volleyball.
Yeah.
And they're all like shirtless in the California sun, and they're all like they're either like really sweaty or like they're oiled up or whatever, and they're like high-fiving each other and going yeah, and everybody on the online makes the joke that it's homoerotic, and I just find that funny.
Is that a Michael Bay movie?
No.
Oh. Sure sounds like
It's kind of a proto Michael Bay movie because it's directed by Tony Scott's brother. Ridley Scott's brother, Tony Scott,
Oh.
who is kind of the proto Michael Bay. Except he's like slightly less like cynical
Okay.
and shitty. But
Then
he's
like
very much
Michael
has
Bay or
that
than his
big-
brother?
What?
Then Michael Bay or than his brother?
than Michael Bay.
Okay.
But that's he's sort of that big bombastic like over the top action movie sort of thing.
Okay.
Um.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
I mean, honestly,
a few more hits. Fuck.
I just wish that Tom Cruise would make Edge of Tomorrow 2 already.
There's a sequel for that? I was watching that the other day. I loved it.
No. I wish he would make it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Because they've been talking about making an Edge of Tomorrow sequel for years now, and they never have.
Okay.
And I just want that already. I want it. I want Top Gun. I want Edge of Tomorrow 2 in my life.
I would want that too. Also, I beat this entire boss fight without dying once, and that's the first time that's happened. I'm so proud of myself.
Nice. Good for you. So there's, anybody else remember when Tom Cruise was on the set of Mission Impossible 7 or Mission Impossible 8, that I think it might have wrapped filming recently? He shot it during COVID, and he was like he got really angry when some people on set were violating COVID, social distancing requirements.
Oh yeah.
And all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just shouting on set, going, "There's people who's gonna lose their homes because of you. So if anybody breaks the rules again, I'll send you all home."
What a fucking asshole yet chat thing to do. Like, I wouldn't want to be yelled at.
Yeah.
That's the asshole part. But given the circumstances, like, no, good on him. I would do that.
It's a more reasonable excuse to yell at your crew
Then like fucking Christian Bale. Remember that shit?
Bale.
For Terminator Salvation?
Yeah. It was like, oh.
Stop fucking walking on the green screen shit! There's a fucking movie we're filming. He was like, just going off at him.
Yeah, for no reason.
I mean, I guess the reason would be, like, filming shit like that is a really stressful thing.
Well,
I guess maybe that's why.
Christian Bale is such he's such an intense actor. He's such a method actor about things.
Sure.
That he's really working to make it as good as he possibly can.
Yeah. I would say stress is the result of that, but still, man. Like, control yourself, bro.
He takes things a little bit too seriously, is what I would say.
Yeah.
What a person, Tom Cruise.
What a character.
What a character.
Combat tours quickly. Anyway, one more combat tour and one more city event. Combat tours are the other side of the city. Right, let's see if I can actually do it. I've been trying to do it the entire stream. Swinging
He's
from...
trying to do a speed run. That was
No,
the idea. The idea behind this was...
That was the idea.
We were just tossing around ideas on the Discord server before we went live. Like, what do you want to play today? And I said, you know what? Why don't we play this game? I have it on my computer. And then he was like, well, I could play it, and we could do like a...
I left that choice up to you, and you suggested...
Do a speed run.
Yeah.
And I just said, sure, whatever. I'll take the opportunity to not play the game for once.
You came up with the idea of we keep who's playing anonymous.
Yeah.
Until like way later in the stream.
My idea was just to have me just obviously not playing the game, and
we just wouldn't say anything.
Not
we
say
don't call
anything.
attention to it. And I mean that worked so well because you threw your hands up for like solid 3 minutes as like the character was moving around and doing shit, and nobody said anything. I'll do the city event first. But yeah, we did go into this wanting to speedrun it. But like I'm kind of mellowed out on that. I'm not really speedrunning it. I'm just kind of, taking it chill, taking it easy.
Further?
I think we're like on the second final mission.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 more missions and then we end the game. So we should finish by the 3-hour mark. So like any other stream, really. I'm working as quick as I can.
Go faster.
Yeah, you know what? I should if I want to make an attempt at speedrunning the shit.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
I tried officially speedrunning this game like a long time ago. And my record was an hour and 30, if not 40 minutes. Or 46 minutes. Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from memory, at least at the time, was the third fastest in this game's speedrunning history. I didn't upload it to anything, so don't bother checking to see if like it's on there. But I was going for number 1, so that wasn't good enough for me.
So I'm kind of interested in the next Transformers movie because they're gonna film it. They're gonna film part of it at Machu Picchu, and I think that's kind of interesting.
I haven't heard Machu Picchu being dropped in a fucking like the name. I haven't heard anybody say that shit in like years, dude. Machu Picchu. Yeah.
In Peru, you know?
Yeah, no, I know where it is. I'm just saying I haven't heard that name being like mentioned in forever. Also, the next movie is a Beast Wars movie?
Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
I say that sucks for... Well, I say it sucks for one reason only.
I'm super angry at it because Optimus Primal is not going to be voiced by Gary Chalk, the guy who... Or whoever it is. Whoever voiced it. I don't know. It's going to be voiced by Ron Perlman, and he's angry at that because of that. But I'm like, I do not care.
I'm angry at it because I want a standalone Optimus Prime movie in the same vein as Bumblebee. Or, you know what? Alternatively, I want a movie where it's just set on Cybertron. I want the whole CGI, the movie to be entirely CGI, and I want to see the War of Cybertron.
They're doing that.
Like, alongside the other one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool then. I take that back.
But can you believe that until very recently it didn't occur to Paramount to just make a good movie?
Mm-hmm. Wait, you're saying... can you say that again? David?
I'm sorry, I just had to go and buy some drugs.
Oh, okay. Did you get me that weed that I asked for? Oh, fuck, we can't talk about that on stream.
Yeah, I'll have that next week.
Okay. How are you gonna ship it though?
Don't worry. No te preocupes, tío.
That's good. Don't tell him how. I don't want to get caught.
So how much further do you have to go in this game?
This is the second final mission, and it's a very quick one, at least when I'm playing. You know what? I feel like the cutscenes are also adding that extra fluff. Because when speedrunners do this, they speedrun this game, I mean, they skip the cutscenes. They do that with like every game they speedrun. They skip the cutscenes. Because they add like a little bit of time. But also, I'm not doing that, but like at the same time, I'm not like really 100% putting effort into speedrunning it. I'm just, again, I'm really mellow about this. I'm going fast where I can. But in areas where I could just take my time and play, I'm doing that too. Take a shot every time David says, I'm
gonna you today.
Don't fucking say that to me. I love just how offended I sounded.
You are offended, but the real offended is... Yes.
Yes.
Well, I just ask because I think I'm kind of running out of things to say, so...
The
brain rot is settling in for me, too.
You know what? We can just let people fucking enjoy the game without either of us speaking about arbitrary topics. You know,
Okay.
we can just shut the fuck up for a little bit.
Okay.
That sounded mean. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
You are mean. You know what I kind of, what axe I have to grind?
What?
I wish we could have lighthearted Batman stories.
I don't mind.
Because ever since The Dark Knight, ever since Christopher Nolan took over Batman, it's like we always have to have these really. We always have to make it super dark. You know, we have to have Ben Affleck being murderous. We have to basically being a psychopath. We have to have Joker, the Joker movie being super serious and gritty, and then we have to have the new Batman movie, which does look quite good, but still.
But it still has the same tone.
Yeah, I'm like, I kind of like the lighthearted Batman stories, especially something like, I mean, Batman and Robin is so bad it's good, but I love it. And then there's stuff like the 1960s show, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you can, I would really like a show that would lean into the camp a little bit more.
I see where you're coming from, but I honestly do not mind. I feel like Batman's the only character that I wouldn't mind having consistent dark iterations and interpretations.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can look at a character like Harley Quinn and stuff like her solo movie.
Yeah.
And in Suicide Squad, you can tell dark stories with that character while still being humorous. And I think that, and lighthearted in some ways.
Yeah.
And I think that there's sort of this tonal myopia when it comes to Batman stories,
Mm-hmm.
where we have to be this one specific tone.
I see where you're coming from. The Harley Quinn show kind of plays that whole trope off in a very comedic way, and in a way, it kind of does what you want it to. With like a bit more of a lighthearted tone for Batman stories, because Batman's like a complete goof on that one. Not like completely, but like his seriousness is played up for like.
I watched
played off in
the pilot
goofs.
episode with Xavier a couple of weeks ago, and I liked it.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
I also found the clip on YouTube where Harley Quinn uses the cancer ray.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh so hard. You gave me cancer? I'm gonna go spend time with my kids.
Such a good show, dude. That show is just really, really fucking good. I love the 2 seasons, and I'm really excited for the 3rd one.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely be interested in seeing more of that.
Good. I want to talk about some of the funny Batman shit that happens, but I'm like, I don't want to because I want you to watch that for yourself.
Isn't there that running joke where everybody says he has sex with bats and he says he doesn't?
Yeah.
That's good.
So he fucks bats, right?
No, I don't.
No, I don't. Alfred, I don't fuck bats. Tell him. I don't know if he says that, but it'd be funny if he did. It's like It's like a kid complaining to his parent. Mom, tell him I don't fuck bats.
Alfred, can we get McDonald's on the way home from school?
God, there's a really funny bit. Please just watch the 2 seasons. You'll love it. There's a really funny bit where everything that we're saying kind of happens in like a different context. And I feel like you'd really appreciate that. I don't know if it happens season 1 or 2. Oh, this is a really annoying mission.
Is this the last mission?
Yeah. It's interesting because this mission is like segmented into 3 parts. You have this one. You have another one which is like a chase and then a boss fight at the end. And then you have the 3rd part, which... Oh, I guess, you know what? 4 parts.
That you're fighting.
So her name is Silver Sable. She was in the Spider-Man PS4 game. And she is like this, I guess, assassin for hire. Or like mercenary for hire, sorry. But she has a very 2-dimensional character. She's like...
I can't wait for her solo movie.
You know what? I'm hoping her solo movie would at least, like, give her depth. Because, I mean...
It's been known to happen.
It has been known to happen. Case in point, Sandman, I think, from Spider-Man 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not, like, the biggest Sandman fan. I don't know much of him in the comics. But... I'm pretty sure that movie gave him the much needed like depth and character dimensionality that he needed. Because in like previous shit, he would just like be stealing. He would just be stealing for the sake of stealing. I'm pretty sure. And Electro kind of falls into that same sort of, what would you call it?
So you're telling me that before The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they made him a weirdo stalker who's obsessed with Spider-Man, who accidentally falls into a vat of eels, he wasn't that interesting?
Well, he is such a blank slate in the comics that every adaptation and iteration just, like, changes something about him to make him work for that story. Because, like, in Web of Shadows, his whole thing in that is that he had, like, the sister that he was trying to sort of look for and protect. In the comics, he never had a sister. In the movie, they changed him so that, you know, he would be, like, this bullied nerd. He was never a bullied nerd in the comics.
I love how terrible Jamie Foxx's performance is in that movie.
They will see a world without light. A world without Spider-Man. A world with Electro or something.
My hot take about Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that I wish there was more Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn in that.
Dane DeHaan is a fantastic actor. That guy's been done dirty so many times.
He's good in the right role. See Valerian, where he's not quite cast right. But he's really good as Harry Osborn. I think that's a good role for him. And oh no! Look, the assassin is helping you out, save people.
He even fucking comments on that.
Yeah, I heard that right now.
By the way, I kind of want to preface everything I said about the Electro thing. Xavier said that before. I'm kind of just like quoting him. I don't want to sound like those are just my words. Xavier was the one who told me that. I don't want to take credit for what he said. But since he's not here, I figured like yeah, shit on his behalf because I know he'd be saying something like that. He would say that if he were here. Xavier, my man, if you're watching.
Just watch it. Just watch Xavier be lurking on this stream, and he'll just be commenting something like,
"Oh, this motherfucker's stealing my words. He's like taking credit for what I said. I'm gonna kill him. I'm not gonna play Resident Evil 2 remake anymore."
We should all kill him, but you know, for unrelated reasons.
Yeah, no.
I don't think Australians deserve human rights.
They're racist to my Australianism.
Yes, I am racist against Australia.
Yeah. Like, whoa, these motherfuckers are like kangaroos they ride? Unacceptable.
Do you like the voice actor who plays Spider-Man in this?
I don't mind him. I have a really hot take with Spider-Man voice actors. I love his voice in Rubber Shadows. People say that he's very whiny and very annoying. I think he's perfect. I honestly...
Who's your favorite Spider-Man voice actor?
My favorite, very, very favorite? Josh Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. He's been in Spectacular Spider-Man. He was going to be in the Spider-Man 1 movie game. But they replaced his voice with Tobey Maguire, like, very late on. But his voice lines are still... they're still in the game files, and I'm pretty sure some people have restored them. What else? He played Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man movie games. He played him in Spider-Man 2. He also played him in Spider-Man 1. And what's interesting is that the story for him in that... You play as Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1. Like, he's a playable character. But the story behind that is Harry found the Goblin tech, and he put on the Goblin costume to track down his father's killer. And that was sort of like the way they explained Harry having been the Green Goblin in that playable section. What else has he played? I think he played him in Spider-Man Friend of Foe. He played the new Goblin in that game. Like, he voiced him.
Who is your least favorite Spider-Man voice actor?
Drake Bell? Is that his name?
I mean, Drake Bell sounds about right. I don't know if he was like a... I don't know if he was in the cartoons, but he does sound...
He was
like
in Ultimate Spider-Man. Whoever was in Ultimate Spider-Man, that's my least favorite.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
He just sounds so fucking uninterested. His performance is really terrible. The expected response would probably be the guy from the 2017 Spider-Man show, but I frankly have not seen that to be able to give my opinion on that.
Why have you not seen it? Do you hate Spider-Man?
Yeah, dude, fucking hate that guy.
If you haven't watched every single Spider-Man thing, then you hate
Am I really a Spider-Man fan? That's a good question. I really should have asked myself that. David, you've given me a new outlook.
You decided to play this game. You should have just thought about this a little bit more. Your fault, I guess. You way overshot Venom there. You have to wait for him to come up.
I do. See, what fucking sucks about me having played this game so many times is that I know where they're going. Like, I know where they're going to be. I can anticipate their paths.
So, what do you think about the Eminem song?
Eminem? I didn't know there was one.
Of Venom.
Oh, that I love it. Venom. If that doesn't get a comeback in the second movie, I'm gonna be pissed.
I hate that song so much. It is the worst thing.
Real talk, Eminem lost his fucking touch.
He has.
He lost that shit so bad.
He hasn't released anything good since
2014.
Yeah.
Remember fucking I'm Not Afraid or The Monster or like anything from like around that time? Remember when he was dropping like fire fucking songs just consistently every time? And then his greatest comeback, quote unquote, is Venom. And then he was he was in the Godzilla movie.
Venom, the chorus where he goes Venom, 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 that's probably the worst like 10 seconds of any song I have ever heard.
Oh, absolutely.
It just assaults your ears.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
It's worse. The only thing that I can think of that even compares to how bad that is Pitbull's song Ocean to Ocean from Aquaman. Have you heard of that?
I haven't. He was in the Aquaman movie?
He was on the Aquaman soundtrack, Pitbull. And they played it in the movie. And it was right when It was right when Africa, like the song was big because Weezer covered it, and he tapped it
He
on
did a
the trend
cover
by
of that?
sampling it, and he played it in the movie, and it's just so terrible. Of course, it's not as terrible as.
It really does sound terrible. Again, I haven't seen the Aquaman movie, and I'm really glad I haven't. After like seeing the, so you're saying my mom died because she had me? Like after seeing that scene, like that was just set in stone. I was never gonna see it.
But
But knowing
difference
that
is
Pitbull
that
was in that is like,
well, the difference in this like cover of Ocean's yeah, Ocean's no, it's Ocean to Ocean and the Africa cover, but it's also just unfinished
uh-huh.
as a song. It's poorly like it's just poorly produced. Like the levels are way off.
Uh-huh.
Where like the chorus with Africa just plays and it overwhelms everything while the other volume levels don't match it.
Yeah.
It's just so it's an unfinished song, whereas Eminem's Venom is just ear cancer.
It's a good way of putting it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yo, I just remembered. Some people, like a team of, I don't know if it was a team of modders or anything, but people have been able to mod the game so that you're able to play as Carnage in the open world of Spider-Man, which is really cool.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, dude. Carnage is like one of my favorite fucking versions of the symbiote. Surprise, surprise. Like that's everybody's.
Are you
fucking...
excited for Venom 2 with Carnage?
I am. I unironically am. I didn't mind the first movie. As a matter of fact, when it came out, I thought it was great. I watched it again recently, and I thought it was, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't any Aquaman.
I hated
Again,
it.
I haven't seen it. But it wasn't.
I hated Venom.
You hated it? I feel like to some extent that's kind of expected.
I thought that it was Tom Hardy's worst performance.
Really?
And I've seen Tom Hardy in fucking Star Trek Nemesis.
Damn.
Did you know that Tom Hardy was in Star Trek Nemesis, where he played an evil clone of Patrick Stewart?
I did not.
He did. And it's exactly as bad.
That sounds fucking terrible, yeah. Hey, look! It's the big Rhino Man. Look at that, there's fucking rhino parts everywhere. Isn't that cool?
Why, yes, the Rhino Man is in fact very
The Rhino Man. Rhino hyphen man.
Rhino.
If you don't put the hyphen between rhino and man, you're a fake fan. That rhymed.
Did you? I was telling this to William earlier, but the Spider-Man Twitter fans have become such a cancer inside my brain that I have finally added the dash, the hyphen,
The little hyphen
between
between
Spider
Spider
and
Man.
Man.
I've never. I was telling David this. I never. I don't know what people. There's a big fuss about it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. It's my favorite, like, niche internet criticism. It's so, like, stupid.
Yeah. It's about to do an attack. Look, I beat this motherfucker.
Yeah, like, he has no health. What's
He has like
what's he doing?
one fucking little bar. Check this out.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Look, final part of this chapter of this mission. You sound tired as, dude.
I'm as tired as you are.
I'm not tired at all.
Also, I'm trying to be quiet right now because I have family members who are trying to go to bed.
Oh, that's cringe.
Yeah, it's cringe. It's cringe.
It really is, man. Imagine trying to respect your surroundings.
Yeah.
And the people living within them.
Who would do that?
The name Xander Corvus has been coming up in the chat.
Who?
I don't know who that is. Xander Corvus.
What?
I don't know who that is.
Xander Corvus. He is a... Oh.
It's like in relation to Spidey voice actors.
Um...
What's he done? What's he been in? Who is he? What's his character like?
I looked it up. And I'm not going to repeat it.
Look at how fucking sick this like open mask design for Venom is.
Yeah, that's cool. They gotta have that in the movie. Xander Corvus is a pornographic film actor who played Spider-Man in a porn parody film.
I'm disappointed by the chat. I'm just really disappointed.
Yes. You should be disappointed in yourself.
Look at this fucking cool cutscene. I love the animations in this.
I do like the shell-shaded art style.
Yeah, dude. Shell-shaded art style.
Shell-shaded art style.
Imagine we get a Spider-Man game in like fucking in the future that looks like this. I love the way Venom nailed it too, by the way. That was a nice little.
I kind of hate how all games have to be all 3D games have to be super realistic now.
Yeah,
So,
it does get really old.
There's basically 3 art styles that are allowed right now, which is 2D indie games, Fortnite, and realistic high budget games.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I feel like that reflects the climate of this industry currently. That little tone is really cool. It's a very simple motion, but I love it. Also, the explanation for why Venom gets his symbol in this game is really fucking sick. And when Bendis adapted this the story into the books, he didn't even try to make an attempt to make it as good as this. He dropped the ball so hard, dude. He landed flat on his ass.
So you think that this is actually better than the books?
Yeah, dude. This came out before the book. So, like, this was adapted later. But I think this is so much better.
Original story.
Yeah?
It was written by Bendis, and then they made it into a book later.
Bendis readapted his story into his book, and he completely flubbed the execution. Just like the ideas aren't exactly the same either. It kind of starts off the same way, a little bit, but it was just completely different by the end of it, or like just midway through it. You're like, oh,
you're really kicking Venom's ass here.
I am, dude. There's this move that you can do where you bounce off like a nearby platform or like a surface, and that really does a lot of damage.
Here's a question for you. So there's gonna be maybe. So if there is a crossover between Tom Hardy's Venom and a Spider-Man in the future, I'm not gonna say which one specifically. Which one would you like?
Which one would I like? I would really like to see
any Spider-Man live action, I'm going to assume, interact with this character. Who would you like to see?
I would like to see Andrew Garfield. I know everybody says, oh, I want Tom Hardy and Tom Holland, but I really think just tonally and everything else, he fits a lot more with Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the writers for MCU Spider-Man wrote themselves into a corner where
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't make sense for him to fight to face off against characters like Tom Hardy's Venom for obvious reasons. I mean, I guess it would be cool if they found a way around it, but I just personally cannot see that happening. What about you? Who would you want?
I mean, I don't really have a. I don't really have a.
Don't have a preference.
I don't have a preference. I think that. Well, I don't have a strong opinion. I do think that Andrew Garfield's probably the closest tonally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I have the hot take that we don't need a crossover.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like,
I
maybe
kind of
we
like
can
to have
just
them separate.
these superhero stories that are, their own thing, and we don't need to connect them. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, part of the interesting thing about something like Venom is the fact that it feels like a 2000 superhero movie, and we don't need to, have this weird crossover just for the sake of having this weird crossover.
Yeah, right?
I think it's fine if we just don't have a crossover.
I agree with you,
But if we
but the reality
do,
is it's going to happen anyway.
yeah, that's true. But if we do, I do think that Tom Holland would just be weird in the Venom universe, because Tom Holland is a lot quippier of a character. He's a lot more of a comedy Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would fit well with the Venom that we've established. Like,
No, I agree.
he's a funny character, but he doesn't quip like Tom Holland does. He doesn't reference Alien or whatever
Yeah,
in the middle of a fight.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, that ancient movie.
Have you all seen the really old movie Empire Strikes? I'm shitting on it now, but I really loved that when that happened in Civil War. Again, I think Civil War portrayed MCU Spider-Man the best, and for a second I'm like, this guy he's my favorite. And because of that,
I really didn't like that.
no, I loved it. I thought
that.
it struck a nice balance between.
I just felt it just felt like an old person writing a young person, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody calls like Empire Strikes Back an old movie.
Yeah.
It's just a movie, So anyway,
I don't know.
I hope that you guys enjoyed watching our speed run of the only
How
good
long did we
Spider-Man game.
How long did we go for, guys? Did somebody check?
How long have we been streaming? 2 hours and 37 minutes.
Okay, well. I was right that an hour and 30 something would factor into the stream in some way. I guess it was time remaining from reaching 3 hours, but
I think
this was fun.
We can wrap things up for the night.
We can wrap
Thank
things
you
up.
for joining us. We had fun. We learned new things about each other.
Did we?
Suffered together.
We did. That's right. That's true. Yeah, no, I think this format is interesting. I don't know if we'll be seeing more of that. I probably not. But I you know what? It was nice to change something. And I was gonna say something. LP tax is hitting hard.
Mm-hmm.
Special thanks to Dr. Peter T. Ackerman. Ackerman? Am I saying that right? I don't know. Anyway, that's it for today. If you want some more, you should subscribe to this channel and hit the big thumbs up button and the notification bell. And with that being said, we will see you in the next video. Bye bye. That's Markiplier's and song. See ya.